guys, welcome back to The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check the episode out today. We're going to be talking about how to catch schooling bass, those fish that you see busting the surface that are chasing shad and stuff. And this is pretty common really anytime the water temperature is over about 65 or 70 degrees. You'll notice that a lot of fish school, sometimes a little cooler, but it's more of a warm weather activity. And these fish can be extremely finicky to catch and hard to catch. So we're going to dig into that. I've got a couple techniques I want to share with you guys. So we're going to get into that in today's episode here. And also, guys, I'm going to be talking about the two lures that I use for schooling fish. One is this new Megabass karashi here. This is a twitch bait. Looks like a little bitty minnow. I'm going to link this in my Tackle Warehouse link in this video description if you guys would like to try one. And the other is going to be a fluke with a hover rig head, core tackle hover rig head. Zoom Super Fluke. I'll link these in my Tackle Warehouse link in this video description too, if you guys would like to check those out. And guys, real quick, I wanted to share one thing with you guys. You heard me talking about this, but if you're in the market for a really good bait cast reel at a really good price, check out this Cast King ALTI Elite here. This thing is the first backlash-free, pretty much reel I've ever used because of the Halo Vortex braking system here. All titanium spool, light as a feather, alloy frame. Thing is going to be under $200 if you use my promo code Randy10. So I'll put the link in the description to that if you guys are interested. Really appreciate that. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about the schooling deal. Let me talk a little bit about the schooling fish in general first, and then we'll go into how you want to fish for them, how to catch them. Schooling bass can be sometimes the easiest fish that you've ever caught, and sometimes the hardest, just depending upon how focused they are on the bait that they're using. Now, let me give you guys a prime example of what I'm talking about as being hard to catch schooling fish. I was fishing a tournament, a Bassmaster Open down at Lake Hartwell in South Carolina several years ago. And these fish were coming up regularly and periodically out on these main lake points, these big spotted bass. I'm talking 3 and 4 pound spotted bass in these big schools. And they'd come up and just tear the surface up chasing herring. I'd throw over there with anything that I had, and those fish could be boiling like crazy, and my lure would come straight through them, and they wouldn't even look at it. They wouldn't touch it. I never caught any of them. I was throwing through schools of these big spotted bass. They would not hit anything. They were so focused on the bait that they were using that they didn't want anything else. So if you have a situation out there where they're doing that, they can be pretty hard to catch. So, that's one thing that you have to remember. I got to tell Elijah to stop here. Hey, gonna hold off on that for a second. Elijah's over there using the saw. So that's one thing. But other times when you have schooling fish, you can throw right in there and they'll hit a dang stick with a hook on it. I mean, sometimes they're super aggressive, sometimes they're not. And so it just really depends on the mood and the personality of those schooling fish. You don't really know. But there's two techniques that I have found to catch them here that work really good. Now, first of all, is this karashi twitch bait, guys. I've been using this thing over the past year or so. The reason this thing works really good, it's about the same size of the minnows they're feeding on. Put it on 6 pound test line, throw it out there. It's a slow sinker like that, and you can either work it right on the top like a jerk bait, getting it darting back and forth like that, or you can let it sink down a little bit and then just start twitching it, and it sort of twitches around like a little jerk bait. That's a really good way to catch them, especially if the water's a little bit cleaner. The other technique I like to use is a Zoom Super Fluke. This is a really good way to catch them. A fluke is one of the most famous baits to catch schooling fish with. And I put it on this core tackle hover rig head right here. Now, the reason I use the hover rig head is you got the weight distributed through the shank. It's not just like a lead head on the end of this thing. The weight distributed through this shank makes the thing fall at a horizontal angle, and also it spirals on the way down, so it gives the bait a lot more action. And if you've never thrown this hover rig, guys, let me show you how to rig it. It's a little bit different than anything else. Like I said, my buddy Johnny Schultz and Matt Steffen designed this. Like I said, this will be in my Tackle Warehouse link. Come in about 1/4 of an inch behind the head, like this. So you're not coming straight in the head, and then just go ahead and thread it regularly, like you thread, just a jig head, and push the shank all the way up in there to the point of the hook there. And then what you want to do is you want to take this point and put it back in the head of the plastic there. It's pretty easy once you get familiar with it. So that's the way it looks. You don't have any jig head showing. I usually take the weed guard off of it, but when you put it on this hover rig, guys, the bait, when it falls like that, it sort of spirals, and when you jerk it, it just goes crazy all over the place. So this is a great way to catch schooling bass. It zooms super fluke with that hover rig head on it. Okay, couple different tips and advice let me give you here as far as schooling fish. Normally, a lot of these schooling fish, guys, are going to be out on the main lake, and they're going to be out on points. Points are the best spot to catch schooling fish on. Schooling fish can come up, pretty much anywhere, but it's been my experience that bass, when they're in that schooling mode, they are in and around points. Now, a lot of it has to do with where the bait's at. They can get away from the points and get in and around them, but those bass like to hang around those points. So these are the areas that you really want to look for. The next thing with that is the schooling activity is always more prevalent on calm days. There's something about, I guess it's their ability to see the little minnows or something, but you'll notice a lot more schooling activity on a calm day. Even if it's a little bit of a chop on the water, can make a difference. I like a calm situation for a schooling situation, and you'll see them from a long way away. But the thing about it is you have the number one thing that you have to remember when you're after schooling fish, you've got to get on them as soon as you see them, because they don't stay up very long. So as soon as you see a schooling fish, don't just like troll over there with your trolling motor. Get on your big motor and try to get over there as quick as you can, and try to fire that cast out as fast as you can to that schooling fish. The more and closer that you get to putting that bait right next to the fish that's boiling, your odds go way up. Now, occasionally you can catch them dropping down a little bit, let it sink under if they've gone out of sight, but not very often. And of course, the guys that use forward-facing sonar can probably keep up with them better, but I'm talking about the visual schooling type fish. Make a long cast, try to get on them right off the bat, and just keep your eye out. And a lot of times, some of the most frustrating thing about fishing for schooling fish is, say, for example, you see one's busting and you cast over there and you're working your bait, and then all of a sudden you see another one busting somewhere else, but you got to reel your bait in all the way, till you see another one. And try to resist casting if you don't see a busting fish, because if you're just fan casting an area that you've seen the fish in, a lot of times the fish will come up behind your back and your bait's 50, 60 feet out there, and those fish will be gone by the time you get your bait in. So you got to make hay while the sun shines with that. You got to get right on them really quick with it. So anyway, guys, just a few tips. Hope it helps you. We'll talk later.